when you see Bitcoin run this much, you start to, those flashers start going off like,
Yeah.
okay, like, what is this? I was just looking at the Bitcoin dominance chart today. It just hit a new all-time high. And if you're in alts, that's mega bullish.
This content is brought to you by VeChain, which is a leading enterprise-grade Layer 1 public blockchain spearheading a digital revolution from a sustainable, highly scalable smart contract platform. The VeChain blockchain has many unique features, which makes it an ideal choice for Web3 applications. VeChain is working with many great enterprises such as PwC, Givenchy, BMW, and Walmart China. Most recently, they partnered with the Boston Consulting Group to build a revolutionary decentralized application ecosystem. I'm a big believer in this project. I have been since 2018. I've been a VET token holder for years. And this blockchain is highly scalable, great with security and speed, and it has low energy consumption. If you'd like to learn more about VeChain, please visit vchain.org. Link will be in the description.
Welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, Crypto Water Cooler episode number 17. What a time to be alive. I got David with me, who's the co-host of the Next Block YouTube channel. David, man, the markets are moving so fast, I can't even refresh the price feed fast enough.
I know, right? Even behind, I have our Zoom window kind of a little bit smaller just so I can still see the price movement behind me and see what's going on. But yeah, the past week has been electric, obviously for Bitcoin, just literally ripping through so many, levels of resistance all the way up until the new all-time highs. And obviously from there, it's been nonstop. It seems like every few hours it's moving another $1,000, another $1,000. I mean, and it's not taking many breaks. I know a lot of people saw once it kind of got to that topish around 84K, 86, that we're going to see a big retracement. No, it took like 8 hours, 12 hours off, and then now we're back up to, I think you said it hit 93K. So it's
Yeah.
it's electric right now.
Yeah, folks, we're recording this on Wednesday, November 13th, and literally this morning, Bitcoin blasted through 90, 91, 92, and 93. It's currently just over 92 as we're recording. So this thing is moving so fast, man. I can't even keep up. I literally would tweet about a price point and then it jumped already. Monday, I think it jumped like 8 grand in one day. It closed, I think, the largest daily candle ever. Just incredible, man.
Yeah.
Parabolic moves, and we're seeing some altcoins waking up too. Do you agree that we are in the parabolic phase, like some would call the fifth wave?
Definitely the fifth wave. It's yet to be seen though, and I've seen so many conflicting ideas on like, is this bull run going to be more like the 2016, 2017 bull run? Is it going to be more like the 2020, 2021 bull run? And obviously, I have no crystal ball here, but I would assume that as long as we don't see a black swan event like a COVID or anything crazy in the macro conditions, I don't see why this one wouldn't be something similar to the 2016, 2017 bull run, where yes, there are going to be 30%, possible 40% dips of Bitcoin on the way up, but it could literally be another 8 to 9 months of just continued positive price action. One of the guys who used to be on my show, JT, he was, and this is back in 2022, 2023, midst of the bear market, was saying, by the 4-year cycle, we actually probably won't see the blow off top for Bitcoin until November of 2025. And at the time, I was like, no way, there's no way it's going to take that long. But we're kind of here, and it's looking like, is it going to be a blow off top in the spring? Or are we just going to see a continued run all the way through 2025 with the blow off top coming at the end? And, obviously yet to be seen, but I don't know. That's kind of what I've seen. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, great point. I'm struggling a bit. You can plan as much as you want, but the emotions, what the market's doing, and when I see Bitcoin move like this, my instincts start to kick in from the lessons I've learned that, okay, how sustainable is this? We are due for some sort of correction. But then again, on the flip side, David, the buying that is happening with these ETFs is incredible. We haven't seen anything throughout the history of Bitcoin like this. And then you have a strategic Bitcoin reserve bill sitting on the table with Senator Lummis and President-elect Trump is going to be in office. So something is happening here. I tweeted about it yesterday that I think Larry Fink knows this thing is going to get passed in one way or the other, and he's telling all his clients, put your money in.
Buy. Yeah.
Because the stats don't lie. Regardless of what stories we can make up on and feelings of greed and all that and euphoria, the buying that's happening is record breaking. It's blowing all the ETF records out of the water.
Yeah. And you have to think too, if you're someone who's in Bitcoin or in a crypto, right? Charts speak volumes, right? And so many people that are buying Bitcoin or Ethereum for the first time are not buying it like we see it. They're buying the ETFs. The charts look totally different. Like there is something to be said, I think, in there. But even outside of that, I would agree with your point that, BlackRock, I mean, obviously it has a huge stake in Coinbase. Coinbase is obviously going to be pushing a lot of things for people to buy crypto and get on board. I think I saw yesterday that Coinbase app had, as far as finance, was up to like top 10 or so, and among all apps in crypto in finance. So that's obviously bullish. And really an interesting thing, you kind of say like, when you see Bitcoin run this much, you start to, those flashers start going off like, okay, like, what is this? I was just looking at the Bitcoin dominance chart today. It just hit a new all-time high. And if you're in alts, that's mega bullish. Like that just means that Bitcoin dominance is still king right now. Maybe your alts are starting to run, but like the fireworks and the last hurrah is not here yet. Like we're going to see that after I think we've seen, or once we start to see some of these alts take off even more, and you start to see that Bitcoin dominance start to fall a little bit. And there might be some consolidation for Bitcoin in those periods. But like I said, if you look at the 2016, 2017 bull run, I think there was like 6 or 7 times where Bitcoin pulled at least 25% or more, but still did not top. And so it could be a really volatile and crazy, 2025 first year for Trump, especially with just so many things that they're looking to do with the strategic reserve. I mean, it's like at this point, possibilities are endless. And I don't have in my head a number yet that I think Bitcoin could reach. Like that's just kind of where I'm at this point of the stage.
Yeah, but to your point though, when we've talked a lot about this, have a plan, know what price points you're taking profits at, because nothing's guaranteed. Like even though we're seeing the incredible buying, we're seeing the strategic reserve bill on the table, we don't know what could happen. And like you said, Black Swan event, macro factors, right? Could another war start and it changes a lot of things? That's possible. So at least start dollar cost averaging out, laddering out, and at your respective price points, because it depends on your entry point. If you bought the all-time highs last time, you may want to wait a bit. If you bought the bloody bear market bottom, you're in profit. So it's very specific to your situation, and there's no guarantees. But when I look at the data, David, and what the hell is happening with this ETF buying, and even on in general whale movement on sentiment, like I had just had the guy some sentiment on the podcast, you're seeing like wallets with 10 or more Bitcoin continue to increase. And it's not like they're buying 100 Bitcoin at a time and stuff, but it's fascinating. They're buying. The whales, I think, want to make Bitcoin or put Bitcoin at 100K before Thanksgiving. Because David, you know what happens at Thanksgiving dinner, right?
Oh yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's going to be on definitely a topic that everyone is going to be talking about. If you have anyone in the family that's holding crypto, someone's going to ask you, what about them Dogecoins, or what about them Bitcoins? What are they doing now? And so the conversations are going to get sparked. You're probably going to, and here's the thing: the easiest way to get someone into crypto is like you're there in person with them, you help them download a wallet, you send them some probably a crypto that you've made a ton of money in, and you're like, oh yeah, this thing's going even higher, and then they're going to go and start buying it because you sent it to them, right? It's the easiest way to onboard. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see crypto continue, Bitcoin especially, continue to pump through Thanksgiving, possibly even through into December. And we really don't see much of a cooling off for it until, maybe early into the spring. But even then, I mean, really, it's like I say, it's one of those things we could see just continued, upward price movement for Bitcoin for months on end. But then again, there is always these big moves, even the one we're seeing now, all the way from 50, low 50s or mid 50s, really, all the way to 93. Like there definitely is going to be a point where people take profit. There's a breather. It consolidates for a while before the next leg up. And even before this big move, I was kind of under the impression that 100 to 150K Bitcoin was probably going to be the max we saw in this next big move. Before retracement and before possibly going higher. So that's what I would be eyeing. Once we hit that 100K, to me, that's a psychological level that a lot of people might take profit at. And so it could become kind of like what we saw with the all-time highs. It may take a few months to break through that.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I noticed the exchanges started doing, Robinhood this morning listed like Solana, XRP, and so forth. And then you had Coinbase listing Pepe. I know we have it on the topic list of what Gary Gensler is going to do, but imagine with this move happening, Gensler submits his resignation letter. I think the markets are going to go bananas.
Oh my gosh, they will. That's the thing is you still have, and that's the thing is most time the market it will price in certain things that happen, but it's already pricing in things that they expect to happen, right? And those bullish narratives will bring in a slew of more investors, speculators, whatever you want to call it. And obviously, Gary Gensler has been a huge villain, a thorn in the side to almost everything crypto related in the United States. So seeing him exit is going to be mega bullish. It's actually why I bought a very speculative meme coin that just launched called BYEGary, which is on Base. If you want to head over to the Base chain and scoop some BYEGary, we can drop the contract and everything. It's on social medias. I've been tweeting about it all over the place. But there's a lot of cool things that are going to happen when we get this news that starts to drop especially with him leaving. I'm ready for him to be gone. I'm ready to get a new chair in so that we can get pro crypto regulation through, and we can actually see, businesses want to build in the United States that are crypto friendly. Like it needs to happen. He has to go. By Gary Gensler. That's the show right there.
I love it. Like I'm not so much in the meme coin investing, but I appreciate it. I find it funny and entertaining. But this one may be the one I have to buy.
I'm hoping what I really hope happens is he gets whiff of this and just like and feels the pressure from it. Like it grows so much that that he can't, he has to know that people are making like millions off of the fact that they're betting on him leaving. And actually, I think I was talking to one of the guys who is creating stuff with the token and the team, and he was saying that you're going to be able to bet on when you think the day that he will resign, and whoever bets on the right day will win even more. So hey, there's a couple ways to win there on it.
Dude, I may have to participate in that because I like you and everybody else, I want Gensler out of there. I've been calling him a scumbag regulator for years because we know what he's been up to. He's not acting in good faith. And to your point, look, Trump won. Trump said he was going to fire him on day one. But typically, you have the SEC chairs if there's a new a new administration coming in that's not aligned with their party. They submit their resignation letter, right?
Yeah.
They say, hey, thank you for your service, blah, 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 and I'm out of here. But some people are saying Gensler may not do that, but I don't think he's that stupid. I don't think he's that stupid.
So, and I would have to do more research. I felt like I was reading an article, and in it, or it was just a thread post, and I didn't get all the way through it, but someone was saying that if he resigns, it's more bullish because Trump then gets to, I don't know, I feel like it said something along the lines that like Trump would get to replace not only him, but something else within the cabinet or within his team. But if he's fired, then technically Trump would maybe only get to change him or replace him as the SEC chair. I don't know I don't know how legit it was. It was from a source that I do trust, but I didn't read all the way through it. I need to go do some more research on like what are the actual like benefits if he resigns versus if he's fired. Because I know Trump has said, and he said at the Bitcoin conference that day one he's going to fire him, but obviously we've seen rumors that he may resign in December, and so it's kind of a toss up on what he'll do versus what's better for crypto in the long run. But needless to say, he's going to be going out the door, and pro crypto regulation, I would assume, will come flooding into the United States for 2025.
Oh yeah, I mean, David, I couldn't be more bullish. We have a pro crypto president who's going to
Yeah.
establish a crypto advisory board or whatever within the government. You have the most pro crypto Congress coming into their seats come January because both in the House and the Senate, they won by a landslide. Elizabeth Warren's anti crypto army, they're done. She's been disarmed. Gensler is going to be out. Sherrod Brown lost. A lot of people backed out on those anti crypto bills. So man, brighter days are ahead for sure. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and it'll be really interesting to see what type of regulation and what type of advancements we see and how fast. Because I know back in the 2021 bull run, 2020 to 2021, like when I started learning about crypto, like I'm from finance. I worked in banks for 8 years. I did loans, mortgages, like everything started clicking to me about how quickly this could advance and blockchain technology could be adopted and people could be their own banks. Underwriting and so many things in finance could be better done with smart contracts. Like that whole ethos of like what crypto and what blockchain was like right there. And it just felt like because of the Elizabeth Warrens, the Gary Genslers, it just kept getting like stonewalled because they just kept saying everything is a scam and everything is not a scam. And there's so many things that are building like real utility for people in their everyday life. And so it will be interesting to see, are we going to, in 2025, could we see, the ability to go into a credit union or go into a bank and open up not only a savings and checking account, but a crypto account where you can hold your Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana or whatever it is like, and not only just hold it, you can spend it. You could go to the grocery store and buy your groceries using your debit card, not a Bitcoin card or not nothing that's going to be too hard for people to understand, but they could literally just spend it using the same card they do out of their savings and checking and stuff like that. So I don't know, with regulation hopefully improving at a quick pace, it'll be interesting to see what can, how far Bitcoin and other blockchain and crypto can be integrated into, every person's daily life.
I'm in full agreement, and I've been talking about it for years that banks, stock exchanges, all of that will integrate crypto. I personally believe that Warren was weaponized along with Gary Gensler by some of these TradFi incumbents who got left behind because for the first time in history, you and I, retail, were able to front run them and access these asset classes and these tokens without them. They
Yeah.
were the gatekeepers for so long, and you had to be accredited, and you had to, or if you want to get equity in Facebook before it went public, you had to go through, there was no way for you and I, but for the first time in history, we're able to do that. And I think my thesis around that, I would say, was validated when, as soon as Grayscale was about to defeat the SEC, BlackRock jumped in, and then
Yeah.
Fidelity and Wall Street, all of them, because they were like, oh, well, there it is, right? We're losing in the court, so now we need to get up to speed. And they all offer crypto now. They're tokenizing, they're custodying reserves for like stable coins and much more. So there was two things happening in parallel. And then second, if BlackRock is pushing Bitcoin, the world's largest asset manager, what do you think this is going? This thing is here to stay.
I mean,
It's just like
the writing is on the wall, right?
yeah.
And it's not to say that there's not going to be a ton of volatility with the adoption still, right? It's not like, I would say Mark Yesko, I always interviewed him, or I've interviewed him a few times on our channel, and he would say, we're in the then they fight you phase, and then when you win, right? And I think we're entering into that then you win phase, but that phase is still going to take years to play out, and there's going to be many facets of it, and there's going to be certain chains and certain coins maybe that do very well versus others. But needless to say, like the big players are in. They're all in. They're ready to move it forward. And we know that blockchain technology, not even just talking about crypto, but just blockchain technology is going to help further, humanity, I would say, from a technological standpoint. And so it's super exciting, especially if you're in these things early, like you said. Before you wouldn't have been able to get into Amazon, the Amazons, and all these, big investments unless you were accredited, unless you had the people there to kind of say like, hey, I can get you in, I can, give you a deal. Whereas now you can, right? It's more decentralized, and I think it's only going to continue to be that way. And so it's just fun. It's been really fun, especially for me too, because I was feeling the bear market like the heaviest last winter, right? right before Bitcoin started to make the move. I mean, it just felt like every single win was just met by a even bigger defeat from Gensler or Warren or whoever it was. And I was starting to feel beaten down, but now it's just like that resurgence of energy. And I think that energy is felt across the entire, crypto landscape. And I think this time it's not going to be so easy to stop it.
Oh yeah. And it's I think cross the chasm, man, with politicians are on board, TradFi, and we're seeing legislation being put forth globally. You got EU here in the United States. You got a bill made out of the House, it's going through the Senate. We got the most pro crypto Congress coming in. So, these large economies like the United States, and then China is also doing, well, at least with Hong Kong,
Yeah.
they are pushing ETFs. They open up retail trading. That's a positive sign. A communist China controlling
Yeah,
Hong Kong
and they
is doing.
might. I've been hearing rumors that they might unban Bitcoin, right? So there's the cracks in the armor there. But as you were talking about as well, like being early to things. This is the first time in my life, and I'm sure many people would say this if they bought this token as well. But Velodrome and Aerodrome, I was buying those things, and now I'm seeing posts showing politicians are now buying into it. Like I'm getting in before imagine getting into a ticker before Nancy Pelosi jumped into it. Like at that point, you'd be like, I just secured generational wealth for my family. Like they're seeing it and they're reacting late because they were being told by these incumbents that, this is a scam and it's all bad and banks are better and all this yada, yada, yada. And now they're like, shoot, they were lying to us. Now we got to get on. And so it's a fun feeling being in this DeFi, being in the NFT, being in just all of crypto space and knowing you're early and knowing that, traditional finance, TradFi is going to be coming to buy your bags.
Yeah, for sure. I have a thesis, by the way, David. I know I have a lot of these. I think China is going to open up ETF, not just general crypto, but ETF, the Hong Kong ETFs to mainland China, because they can see where the flows are going, where the currency is going. They've had a problem with currency leaving the country
Mhm.
historically, and people actually buying Bitcoin and moving it out of the country. But if it's in the ETF wrapper, that's perfect for them because
Yeah.
everything's reported to their version of the SEC, right? They know where it's going, what's happening, the inflows, the outflows, and they can tax the hell out of it if they want. So I think that's coming. It could be one of the major catalysts that drives Bitcoin nuts.
One of the things talking about catalysts to drive Bitcoin crazy, especially I'm thinking here in the United States, right? Because something I saw Italy just did is they decreased the amount of taxes on crypto gains. I think it went from 40 to 20%, so cut it in half. I know we have heard the rumors and just probably the hopium of Trump saying that there is no crypto tax. Now, maybe I don't know, maybe it's too like crazy to dream up or think of. Maybe it's like pure hopium, but like imagine he gets elected, Bitcoin's pumping, and he says, you know what? There is no capital gains tax on Bitcoin. Imagine the flood of money that would go from many assets into Bitcoin. And I'm saying like
Yeah.
that could be a catalyst that could literally send Bitcoin, like that could be your blow off top, like, and not obviously immediately, but over the weeks and everything after it, because at that point, that would be massive. Not to say they wouldn't change it later on down the road, or something couldn't change with another president, but like I don't know, I've been hearing rumors of that, or even just the fact of maybe lowering crypto tax could be a huge thing to make people want to dip their toe in and take advantage, especially as they see their friends and family, hopefully pulling in millions.
Dude, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Even if they cut it, right? They're like, oh,
Yeah.
just 10% capital, 5%. Oh my God, that would be
I mean,
amazing
it's way
versus
better than the Harris campaign saying, trying to, and Biden trying to say that they were going to tax unrealized gains, which I know was going to be for, big earners making, buku money anyway. But that still has a big effect because big money drives the markets. Like big liquidity
yes.
is what's moving it. Like as much as I think I'm a big player, like I'm not. I'm literally a teardrop in the ocean of liquidity as far as money goes in these markets. So I know that really it has to be beneficial for the big players to want to go risk on. And we've been seeing all the right moves, rates coming down, Feds doing what they're doing to, make money easier to borrow against and to get and to, entice people to go risk on. So let's just keep it running.
So let's talk about Doge. Doge been killing it. Elon with the Department of more efficient government. What I forgot the the acronym. But what do you think about this, man? Dogecoin is ripping. Elon's pushing Dogecoin memes and the Department of Government Efficiency and so forth.
Let me go look at the price. So right now, Doge is at 40 cents. And I think back to the year 2020 when naive Crypto for Change bought $1,000 worth of Doge. I had no idea. I was, your TradFi guy at the time, only in stocks. And then I started seeing these people talk about just throwing darts pretty much at crypto and making, millions. If I would have kept that amount of Doge that I bought then, I'd be $250,000 right now if I just hadn't touched it until now. So obviously Dogecoin has been a longtime favorite for many in the crypto space, the OG meme, right? And it was more than just a meme. It was a chain, and it still is a chain. Like there's a lot more to Dogecoin than there is, say, some of these other newer memes like Shiba Inu or even Bonk or Whiff or insert your meme. But we know this Dogecoin leads, I would say, the alt season and the meme coin season. So seeing it have positive price action is very bullish. Obviously, I have not heard anything if Elon's ever sold any of his Doge. I know that for a longest time he said he was never going to sell it, but him pumping it makes sense. It's his own bags. I don't expect that to change. Maybe I'll pay more attention the next time he's going on Saturday Night Live and talking about Dogecoin. That might be a top indicator, but obviously it's bullish because I think as long as Doge continues to break barriers, and what I mean by breaking barriers is it going to 100 billion, even higher. Because I think last bull run, it topped out at like 80 or 69 billion market cap. So it's like seeing it accomplish something that, would just blow regular people's minds, and pass mega companies that are way larger than that. I just think it does so much more for the space and it legitimizes the memes, which obviously so many people in this space are holding memes. Let's be honest.
I almost wish I had bought more Dogecoin.
I mean, it's the thing. It's kind of a staple now. It's like it's not even so much risky as much it is as it was. Like before, it was a risk. Now it's like it's honestly a hedge for memes and a hedge for be a hedge for your portfolio.
Yeah, for sure. It's that established. It's been through multiple bull and bear markets, has a community, has developers building on it. Like I just recently interviewed the folks at QED Protocol. They're looking to scale Dogecoin by building a smart contract layer to help people tokenize and do stuff on it. So,
I mean, it's there. And people like Elon Musk, especially with, the things he's done in the past, he's already played his hand, but he'll play it again, right? And I guarantee he'll unlock the ability to buy a Tesla in Dogecoin or buy anything that he sells in crypto, and Doge and Bitcoin will probably be accepted. But it's like those main drivers and those other companies, other businesses will see that and say, you know what, Elon's accepting Doge, we're going to accept Doge. Because like I said, I just think the climate this time around is going to be way different. You're not going to have just this one, tech billionaire being the only guy willing to put his name out there and say, hey, I'll sell my goods in crypto. I think you're going to have a flood of companies, big and small, saying, I'm ready to give this a shot. Let's see what can happen. And I think it'll be really bullish for things like Dogecoin.
Yeah, man. And it's just funny. I'm assuming Elon planned it, but the acronym for the Department of Government Efficiency, I can't be coincidence.
No, it's not. I mean, the dude is wicked smart. He is calculating. He's playing 5D chess when we're playing checkers. So he knows what's going on. It's funny because I remember I was seeing posts saying that he was even with Trump in his I guess celebration room or waiting for the election results and whatnot. And they said he left early and was showing Trump an app, he said, that was showing him winning. I am guessing the app he was showing him was Polymarket, and the fact that the betting odds for Trump were just already at 80 to 90%, even when the mainstream media was saying it was 50-50 or even that Harris had a lead. And so I just think he's a wicked smart guy, and he knows the games he's playing. And I mean, you have to think at his level, like money is such a like arbitrary thing to you. Like he has it all. Like there's no more. Like he doesn't care about pumping his bags to make himself more wealthy. Like he can get that money if he needs it. At this point, I think he literally does it for the community, for the LOLs, for just the like breaking the norms, I feel like, of financial structure and just different things. Like I think he just likes to be a wrecking ball on like what's accepted and what's normal. And I love it. I think he's hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you because Elon doesn't need money. He even like downsized
No.
his house and everything. And he fluctuates between being the world's richest man and things like that. So it's not like he needs Doge to go up for himself.
No.
He's definitely been doing it for like the retail crowd and the common man, so to speak.
Yeah. I would be interesting. One of the things, I know we haven't, touched too much on speculation, but, where are you still looking to hedge and make some of your biggest gains? Like, are there any tokens or any projects that you're like, really locking in on and just like, dedicating it? Or are you still kind of just fairly spread out? Like,
I would say so I'm gonna say ETH, Solana, and SWI and XRP.
mm,
Those
gotcha.
four, outside of Bitcoin, those four, I consolidated a good amount of my portfolio into those. Um, and I'm hoping, they make big run ups.
Yeah, Sui has been doing really well, which is kind of a shock. Well, it's not really a shocker. I think a lot of the new layer ones that kind of came through this bear market, obviously, kind of like we saw last time with things like Algorand and Cardano, and although Cardano wasn't as new, maybe like Algorand and Near Protocol, like there was a lot of other newer layer ones that kind of caught fire at the start of the bull market and ran through. I think Sui is one of those that's again capitalizing on that. One thing I do worry about a lot of these bigger chains, especially these bigger tokens, is especially if they're early on, is the vesting schedules, right? It's almost like you're resetting. You may have held something like Algorand, and at this point, 80% of the supply is out in circulation, and then you jump ship to a new shiny toy, and it's like, they're at 10%, right? They still have a lot to dump over the coming year. So you really do have to time those, in my opinion, to make sure that you're not, riding them all the way back down in the next bear. But yeah, XRP finally broke out. I know there's been so many people in the XRP army that are bullish. And so, yeah, a lot. Yeah, I think those are solid picks for sure. ETH, especially, like it hasn't even hit all-time highs yet. Like,
Yeah.
and the inflows for those ETFs have been, going crazy. What is your ETH, price prediction?
I think it at least hit 10K.
Mhm.
I don't know how high beyond that. I'm not too sure, depending on the cycle timing and all of that. But I see so much building happening on ETH, man, from BlackRock to PayPal to Ernst and Young. This is from interviews, people I've talked to, and they're building on ETH. A lot of it starts on ETH and then it branches out, but ETH is a big adopter of these type of initiatives. So, it would be awesome if it hits as high as 12. Some people are calling for 15 to 20, but I'm not sure if that's possible.
Yeah, what would that, I guess if it went as high as like 15, 20, what would that put it at market cap wise? Would it be like over a trillion, you think? I guess it would be
Yeah,
close because
be
it's like
close.
what at what was it at right now? Right now it's at a, let's see, market cap's 394 billion. So yeah, if it close to 3, 6, 9, 12. Yeah, if it close to 4x from there, yeah, you'd be looking at over like 1.2, 1.5 trillion market cap for ETH. Totally doable, especially, I mean, I remember, we got to look also at like the total crypto market cap, right? I mean, many people are saying that that's going to top out or has the potential to run to anywhere between like 6 and 10 trillion, or is what they're, maybe top speculation of where it could top out at. And you got to think if it hits that, I mean, realistically, you got Bitcoin at 1.8 right now. Maybe it gets to 5 trillion. And then you do have something like Ethereum getting to 1.5 to 2. Solana's got maybe 1 to, 1 trillion market cap. I mean, really, it's like at that point, it's total speculation. Who knows what could be the drivers to bring it that high, but it would be wild to see it all. And I would agree. I think 10K is a lock. Maybe I would say it's almost a lock for Ethereum. I think above that is frothy.
Oh yeah.
You're in the frothy part of the bull market. Like definitely be scaling out and don't get lost in the too much in the hysteria, or at least be staking it with USDC or something to where you're earning something and it's not just sitting idly. But yeah, I think for me, obviously bullish ETH. I'm still holding some bags that are maybe some dark horses like Algorand. I still like the tech. I still hope that it can pull some attention and make a run. But I'm also like super deep into Base and its whole entire ecosystem. I think Coinbase and Base are going to have a huge just kind of I don't know, vortex tornado of just everything coming together to bring a lot of people on chain. And so I'm really excited to see how they push the narrative of Base with being an Ethereum layer two. And obviously I got my higher hoodie on, always wearing repping higher. That's my meme coin that I honestly think Coinbase is going to list it next. The first base meme that they listed was DGen. DGen ran up to like I think a 1 billion market cap in this back in March, and then they listed it this summer right before this last run we just saw. I think higher is going to be one of the next ones. I think a lot of people in the community are saying it's like the Nike of crypto, which I would agree. I think it's more than just the Nike of crypto. I think it could actually be a lot more, but it's a tag that's easy to kind of get behind, and I could definitely see it. It's a lifestyle brand. It's a decentralized brand. It's got the AI meta with all this, all these new AI bots creating tokens and all this stuff. I'm literally watching one of the tokens right now. I think a bunch of Solana whales have just started noticing. I'm seeing like 50K and 70K clips starting to flood in. So there's there's going to be a lot that runs, but higher is one of my biggest bets. I think it's going to be a top 100 coin. And right now it's far from that.
Dude, it's wild, man. Things are gonna get crazy, and I want to remind folks, have a plan, know what
Oh
you're
yeah.
doing. This thing doesn't last forever, so and this is the time to pay attention. It's not the time to walk away. And not that you have to watch it every minute of every hour, but you got to pay attention, at least daily check-ins on what the hell is happening in the market and where we're at.
And you got
Because
to be safe. Like
yeah,
I'll say this. We were talking before the show even started. Like I literally woke up this morning, saw a pretty big difference in my price, and was like, "Holy cow! Which one of my coins took off?" It was a brand new coin that I had not noticed, but it was in my wallet, and it was a ridiculous amount that if I would have went to trade it, so if I would have tried to swap that for say ETH or whatever, it could have drained my wallet. So like you got to be on high alert because just
yeah,
like the good times are here and money's being printed, like there are so many people in this space that are wolves in sheep's clothing and all they want to do is take every bit that you have. And with crypto, all it takes is the wrong click or the wrong signature when you sign on your ledger or your your app that your wallet, and you can literally lose everything. So be safe, guys, and just know that when you get those insane profits, don't let anybody make fun of you for selling. Sell that stuff, get it in something stable in a cold storage wallet, and enjoy.
yeah. Well put, man. So we'll wrap it up on that, folks. Uh, Best of luck to everybody in this bull market. Hope you all make incredible returns. And as David said, be safe. Checking on the markets. This is the time to pay attention. David, thank you for joining me, man.
Heck yeah. See you next time when Bitcoin's 150K.
For sure.